get out of there after that anyway.
Huh?
I kind of wanted to get out of that room after that anyway.
Oh, after that one? Oh, how did it go with
It's just pretty emotional.
Okay, well, that's understandable. Okay. So, again, we are audio and videotaping this conversation. So what I usually tell victims when they come in is that I've been doing this for a while, so anything you're going to say to me is not going to embarrass me or surprise me. I want you to feel comfortable in telling me your story about what happened. If there was any drugs or alcohol involved, that doesn't matter to me, but it's important for me to know that up front. Okay? That's pretty much it. And so what I like to do is I like for the victims to tell me their story from beginning to end, and then what I'll do is I'll go back and try to kind of fill in the holes of the information that I need, and then we'll go back and get more details. Okay? So when we talked, you said that this happened at the W Hotel.
Yes.
And this occurred, and I'm a little confused on my notes. Did it happen on the morning of the 25th or the morning of the 26th of February? Do you recall?
The morning of the 25th.
The morning of the 25th. Okay. So let's start with how you got to the W Hotel.
I had a business meeting at the Parker. Yeah, it's called Park. The steakhouse. It's right near the W. It's downtown, and I'm so tired after being a psychiatrist. I went to the steakhouse and had dinner, and I think I had maybe 3 drinks with dinner. But I started dinner about, I would say, 8:30, and it went on for a long time. We were the last to actually leave the Parker, but there was a lot to talk about. We were talking about, I was with staff, and we were talking about a lot of marketing things. And I had been going from hotel to hotel since the middle of January anyway, because the property that I have a commercial lease on in Steiner Ranch is the Women's Wellness and Spa that I opened. I decided in December of 2011 to give money to friends that were in that venue. My background is more industrial and commercial fishing and mining and things like that. And I had no interest. I mean, even though I own a place, I still haven't even gotten a single manicure from them. It's funny, having all those people that you pay a bunch of money to. The only thing they play with my hair all the time. It's kind of funny. But I was at the Four Seasons. I had been staying at the Lakeway Resort Spa. Lakeway Resort Spa and Hotel on Lake Travis. And those are pretty much the 3 hotels that I spent time at. I spent a lot of time in Lakeway. The reason is that there were complaints when I moved in. They told me I couldn't move in because of a credit issue, which was just a complete fabrication. And they just didn't want me to live there. And I was trying to get an apartment close to my business because after my car accident on November 3rd, I had a near fatal car accident on November 3rd on 2222 and 620. And my driver was an idiot. Well, I told him to slow down. I yelled at him actually, and he did slow down. And then somebody took an illegal left turn in front of us at the top of that big hill going up to 620 and 2222. Instead of taking a right, to go around it, he turned to the left, screaming like an idiot, and smashed my side of the engine, just boom. And then I kicked myself out of the car, and I broke my femur kicking myself out. And supposedly that's an impossible thing to do, but the orthopedic surgeon said that there were responders on the scene when I was kicking myself out, and they saw me break my femur. I remember when it broke on the 6th kick, but it was very hard to get out of the car. I wasn't waiting for the jaws or anything because the powder hit my face from the 8 bags. And then the aerosol petroleum hit my face and stuff too, and smelled very strong concentration of aerosol gas in the car. And I could hear electrical, components shorting out, and I thought that it wasn't a good place for me to be. When I hit the ground outside of the car, I remember fading this, 80/60, going into shock, that kind of stuff. When I woke up, the doctor told me that I had a titanium femur. And he was really going on about the fact that he'd been an orthopedic surgeon for years and he never had heard of anyone breaking their own femur. And, I thought it was kind of amusing. As a man, I've always sort of, even though I'm gay, I've really enjoyed everything about being a man and working with men and stuff like that too. It's a fun place for me, that kind of stuff. That's why the spa stuff is just such an unusual place for me to be. But he was so delighted by the idea that I broke my own femur. I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was probably fractured a little bit during the accident. I mean, that would have made more sense to me. I'm sure that that's probably the case. I don't believe I'm the first man in history that's broke his own femur from raw strength and some sort of a surge of epinephrine, fight and flight. But I'd let him have his little joy about having worked on it, because I'm sure it was his afternoon lunch talk, for the next 6 months. But I checked out when I woke up. He said I was going to be there for another 8 days, but I said I had a startup operation. I had to take the business from my partners. When I did that, the Steiner Ranch community responded very poorly to the fact that I had removed somebody from the business that was a member of the community. For some reason, they felt that that I had done something against someone, as opposed to that I was protecting my own financial interests because money was being stolen from me. And I rescinded their interest in my assets and gave them a lot of money to remove themselves and make it a quick transition so that I could not be delayed in recovering my assets or my money that I invested. This isn't, I guess, about that, but so I went to the restaurant and I had a beautiful dinner, and it was sort of late, and I had an appointment in the morning with a new marketing guy downtown. I was already downtown, and I had a hotel still that night up in Lakeway, so I had 2 hotels at the same time. That happens to me every once in a while when I've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of business going on, and why go back to over there? I can't go back to Lake Travis. It's already so late. No, it was almost midnight, I guess, and I went to the W Hotel. And I think I checked on availability first. I know I would have walked in to say hello to Caleb. He's a delightful kid that works at the front desk. And I say kid because he's less than 30. But he's just so charming. I always, no matter what I'm doing in the city, anytime, and I'm in the city quite a bit. I was going out quite a bit and promoting business before the car accident, but they told me I couldn't walk for 3 months. I'd be in a walker. And my staff heard that I had died or nearly died, and that I would be in a walker for 3 months. And something happened where they stopped working, essentially. I guess they'd somehow come to the conclusion that maybe financially I wouldn't be able to survive something like that. Or the cat's away, the mice will play, or I don't know. But they were out drinking on my company credit card, and they were spending money crazy. I had to hire people I didn't know to come and assist me in my house that started stealing from me. I had somebody steal a credit card and send money to Mexico to his family. And these are just people to feed me and bathe me. I mean, I didn't get bathed by them, but we tried various ways of trying to get me to manage, the inability to truly walk. And it was so grotesquely painful. But I turned my pool up to 100 degrees, and that displaced my weight to 18 pounds, and so I walked around in the pool for 5 hours a day. And in 2 weeks I was able to throw the walker away, but I went and checked on my business, and everything that I'd been mandating while I was walking around on the telephone working in the pool hadn't been done. So I had to remove those people because they were stealing, they were converting non-receivables. No money was going into the cash register, but they were converting it into payroll. And so I found out, and CPA resigned because she didn't want to be responsible for anything, which is foolish. And then that night, I went over to the W Hotel, and I think I checked on availability first, I'm not sure, but I ran into these very well-dressed black people. And they were from Dallas, and we had a chat for a bit. And there was nobody in the W Hotel. It was empty completely, and there was no nightlife or anything going on. It was a very beautiful night. And so I asked these folks, they were very old, they were elderly, in their 60s for sure. And I asked them, we talked, and I told them that there was a place, Hamilton's, up the street that had good music and that it was more of a black venue. So we went up there, and I was dancing with the wives of the two old black guys. And so I danced for about an hour and a half, and I didn't have any, I mean, from 8:30 to midnight I had the 3 drinks, and so I had stopped drinking, I guess, maybe around 11, so I danced and hung out with them, and about 1:30 I went back to the W Hotel. So I was 100% sober. I had absolutely no drugs in my system, nothing, and so I was lucid and I felt good, because I danced, and I had a good dinner, but I was tired. So I walked in, of course, Delightful Caleb was there, and then we were chatting about the discount. We like to joke about my discount. I said, well, what's my discount going to be today, Caleb? And he told me that he would give me the suite, the 2-bedroom suite. It's 1601. It's a beautiful suite. And I was staying in that hotel 5 nights a month anyway, probably 5 to 7 nights a month, prior to the accident, because I was promoting the business, and I was downtown a lot, and I'm very anti drinking and driving. I think that it's a foolish endeavor and a fool man's game, and I try to protect the people that I love in that regard as well. It's a very serious issue to me, and so I mentor and have friends that are West Point graduates that work at Fort Hood, and I spent a lot of time with them, and before the accidents I was mentoring at least one of them, but then their friends became my friends, and they were all West Point graduates, and pretty much, and I think every one of them except for one was a ranger, and these guys were smart kids. Men kids, I mean, they were on their way, but they're battalion commanders, striker, some artillery. But they're being deployed, and I was in the military, and I have a really strong affection for, for people that sacrifice in that environment. And it was good for me emotionally, because I got out of a 12-year relationship in March of 2012, and he was very abusive. He had uncontrolled rage, very huge uncontrolled rage issues, and he would attack me. The first 5 years he broke a lot of shit, and that was unfortunate, but I sort of ignored it. Then it started turning towards me, and it just escalated over the last 7 years. And he'd been arrested multiple times for assault and domestic violence and jailed. And it wasn't because I ever called and turned him in. I'd never done that myself, but situations and people will call. And I never lived in apartments. I mean, mostly private house and some condo. But so he had assaulted me in 2011, and but it was different that day. he broke a metal broom over my back, and then he was choking me, and I was fading. Normally he liked to hit, but I would protect my face so I didn't get bruises. He had broken bones. He tried to kill me by running me over with my own cars more than once. And I bought a hotel once in Canada, and I came home after working 18 hours that day, and we were having dinner. And he said, we were having dinner, and I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you I bought the hotel. He got mad at me, and he chased me down, tried to kill me with my car, and he disappeared. Later on that night, the constables came to me in the morning, and they said that my partner busted out every window in that hotel that had been there for 150 years. With a metal chair, he went from every floor and broke out windows that had been there since the old mining towns. And so he had a real penchant for destroying important, permanent things. But anyways, I got arrested for domestic violence, which is strange, because he was choking me and I was fading, and then I somehow got him off me. But when I was getting raped, it's sort of the same feeling came back to me of being in a situation where you've lost control. But with partner of 12 years, I mean, I had some faith that I would always be able to survive it. I mean, he was a victim of grotesque sexual abuse when he was a child. So I gave him a lot of allowances for having a bad childhood. And 5 out of 7 of my partners were molested as children. And, you know, I didn't know that up front, but, you know, it's evident by what it does to people. I wasn't, but I might as well have been. You know, I'm going to be writing some articles about that soon, when I have time. Because, you know, the fallout of stuff like that is just so, I don't know, life-changing. And it affects everybody in the community. I mean, it affected my life so directly, you know. Even though I wasn't molested, I might as well have been, because I was victimized every day by that molestation, being in love with somebody who was. And so, you know, when I got elected to the National Women's Political Caucus in D.C., you know, to be on the board and the President's Advisory Council for Minority and Disadvantaged Women's Rights, I thought, well, maybe I'll be able to speak to this molestation stuff a little bit, because I know it's an important women's issue as well, of course, for the children and stuff. And protection of children is, you know, I mean, adults, sure, you know, I mean, since I've gone through this, well, I haven't gone through this. Since this happened to me, I'm trying to deal with it. I have had a lot of things happen, and I've studied a lot of psychology. I know the penchant for personal blame and all that other stuff. And no, I mean, I know that I'm human, but I didn't like the fact that I thought I was responding to this sort of in a feminine way as well, you know, by blaming myself and things like that, and how could this have happened? But this is something that never could have happened to me. I mean, I would have bet my life in a conversation with any man on this planet that the possibility of me being raped by another man is it's not just an inconceivability, it just couldn't happen. I mean, and so, as a man, it's really hard to deal with the fact that, and it's not that, you know, I mean, I have been passive sexually in my relationships with my partners. And so maybe when I'm out in the world, you know, during my macho fishing shit and stuff, and it's one way. And with my partners, I don't have a sexual identity in any way that's effeminate, but, you know, I don't have sex with people I don't know, and I don't have a capacity to be interested sexually unless I'm emotionally capacitated anyway. So I don't have the same venue for morality as even these kids that I was mentoring. You know, they would go out and find a girl, you know, on the weekends and bring them to my house, and it's like, boys, you know, if you can't get up in the morning to drive them home, don't be bringing them and have me wake up and seeing ugly girls up in a gazebo with bad teeth. At least carry a flashlight with you when you go out. But I became friends with a lot of the police, because I have a lot of, well, I bought one of those $200,000 V10 Audi R8s,
They're what?
The Audi R8,
Oh.
the V10.
Yeah, those are nice.
So I bought one of those, and I would escort the boys to the W and stuff, and I would be promoting my business. But they're so handsome. I mean, the handsomest kids you ever laid your eyes on, as well as nice. Every one of them 6'2", 205 pounds, and works out and smart. They're smart, and except for the fact that they joined the army. But I really, I liked being able to provide them with some sort of advice about the mission that they had at hand and things too. And I felt like I know I was an important part of their lives, and I am. And I checked in. I had my chat with Caleb. He said the room would be $10.99. So, oh, last time you said $10.99, it turned out to be $1,099. He said, well, that's what it is. I said, oh, I thought you said $10.99. So, and so then there was a tall guy at the other desk, and I didn't know his name. I know everybody's name in that hotel: the concierge, the bartenders, the MODs. I'm a very friendly person, and I dress very, very well. I've always had but I mean, really, when I go out, I'm suited up, and I'm really suited up. I don't play games when it comes to clothing. But and then you get noticed, all the belly guys. You pull up in that $200,000 Rado, they want to leave it there. And, but they would come in their cars too, and I would always come with somebody. But the boys started going out on their own a little bit more, because I'm not big on, I mean, that venue at the W is really a strange place in my opinion, but it's a place they like to do their thing. And I made sure they were all well dressed. But I went and I checked in, and Marcus, he said, hey, he said, everybody knows you, it seems, in this hotel, and it seems like you. So, I said, what's your name? I don't know you. He said, Marcus. I said, what do you do? He said something that he was the head of talent, and I think it was the head of talent. It was some sort of the standard or something like. It was the standards guy for the W. He was a trainer in standards for the W. And I thought, wow, very tall guy. And I said, I said, I may have noticed you before, but I thought you were security because those little earpiece things. And then he bent down on the counter while I was talking to him, and I thought that was quite respectful. And I think that that's a smart thing to know about etiquette that a lot of men don't know, and so I was impressed that he knew that it was a pleasant thing to be at eye with someone when you're talking, because he was such a large man. And we were joking about Allison, who's an MOD there, that doesn't like me, which is funny. And even they said the general manager has an ongoing joke with the staff where they'll announce that I'm on the property, and you can see that she gets disturbed because she just has a thing, which is funny to all of us, because everyone else is so pleasant. But Marcus asked Caleb to get me a water, and I think that Caleb went to reach down under the counter to grab one. He said, they're cold in the back, I just loaded those up, or something like that. And so then it was just the two of us in the lobby together, and he said, there's something I want to talk to you about. He said, do you mind if I'll pop up to your room after you check in just for a minute? And I said, no, not at all. And his eyes were unbelievable. He's so handsome. And so, I didn't know if he was gay or not, but I sort of assumed that most probably he was, but, he's tall, dark, and handsome for sure. And a good age for me too, right in the age group that would be appropriate for me to be dating, and somebody that I think that I would have been very interested in. And I would have to say, I think when I was riding the elevator up, I was quite delighted. I thought, boy, I said, I was dying to find out if he was single, because I had been in relationships solid for over 20 years, and I really wanted to end that whole single thing as quickly as possible, because I think, for myself, it's not really who I am. I'm not a person that's interested in, you know, I don't know, I'm too old for that whole dating game thing. I want to just be settled and have what I have and be able to focus on the important things and share my life with somebody that's, you know, hopefully respectful, and I would never be in an abusive relationship again. I just couldn't get out of it. But I did, we went to, he went to psychologist, psychotherapist, psychiatrist. We went to couples counseling for months and years, and spent tens and hundreds, I guess hundreds of thousands over the years on all kinds of things that would, you know, to try to benefit the relationship that I thought would help them. But none of my partners ever saw the need to work, even though they were men and they made money, but they pretty much all quit working after we got involved or they moved in, because I've been very successful for a long time. You know, even though I grew up poor, I didn't mind working. Even if it was 20 hours a day, it didn't bother me. I had 3 jobs when I was in my early 20s so I could have a housekeeper. My priorities have always been a little bit off there, but now I could work and work and work, but I'm afraid of a vacuum. So I went up to the room and I took my clothes off and put on a robe, and I had stayed there so many times, and the shock and awe of the whole event was just cemented completely, also not just by the event, but by the fact that the toothbrush that he brought up to the room, which is strange because I expected a valet or one of the boys from the front to pop up. I called down, the first thing I think of, well, you know, I didn't expect to stay in a hotel downtown, so need a toothbrush. So I called downstairs, I said, like a toothbrush kit. And then about a minute later, Marcus knocked on my door. Turns out that the head of standards and training for the W was delightful enough to bring me the toothbrush that I asked for. And we stood at the door and talked about nothing. Great. You know, he just started talking, and it was, you know, and in short order, I went, there's a large living room and 2 bedrooms. I don't know why I feel the need to, if I'm getting a discount, I think I'll just buy the biggest thing anyway. So it's fun for me. It's not like you can sleep in 2 bedrooms by yourself anyway, but, you know, I wanted, you know, we had a seat on the couch, bright red couch, and we were talking, and, you know, and I asked him if he was single. He said, yeah, for a couple of years. And at that point, I was quite delighted. I thought, boy, you know, if he's interested, I'm asking this one out on a date, and, you know, you know, he was talking, and when we were sitting down, you know, we were sort of in more of the same height sitting down, and I looked at him and I said, yeah, I don't think I've heard a single word you've said now for the last 4 minutes. I'm terribly sorry, but, you know, we both had a chuckle about it. And then he like lunged at me, you know. When he was talking, his eyes were so sparkly and beautiful, and then he lunged at me and just, you know, woo! He lunged at me. I'm like, what? You know, for a very aggressive kiss. I've never been kissed like that before in my life. It wasn't like I was being kissed. It was like it was strange because kissing is one of my favorite things to do. But when he lunged at me and he kissed me, he was extremely aggressive, and it wasn't kissing that I know. And so I went to push him off, and he bit my lip, and I started bleeding. And I used an excavator. I said, what the fuck did you do that for? And then he stood up, and you know, I was walking towards the room. He came after me and kissed me again, but I was bleeding, and this time it was a little bit, you know, more like, not, you know, I mean, I'd already been told him I was offended by the fact that he bit me, and I was bleeding. I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know what that is. Then he picked me up and he threw me into the room, onto the bed. And I laughed at him. And he started to undress. And he said, be quiet, I could get into trouble. I said, be quiet. I said, get trouble? Yeah, you're in trouble with me, but, you know. He wasn't smiling anymore. And now I was starting to get off the bed, and he was still taking his clothes off, and I looked and I said, you know, you're awfully cute, but you know, I don't operate that way, and I'm sorry, but you know, it's not going to happen. You know, I mean, I didn't know what he was thinking in regards to what might happen, but you know, I was already just telling him this wasn't going to happen. He took his shirt off and he jumped on me, and he was, and then, you know, I wasn't wearing any clothes under my robe, but I mean, you know, it wasn't any. I wasn't actually concerned. I wasn't. I mean, you know, I thought, well, I guess this is what a really aggressive man is like, you know, and you know, I'm not that aggressive, and none of my partners have ever been that aggressive, and so